Hey guys, Lexi here, and usually it's Fight Kitties, but you've only got me today. So Lady J is out. She's not feeling too hot, so don't worry, we're still gonna have a lot of fun today. And we've got a lot to talk about with Royal Rumble and everything, so let's just get right into it with some kick-ass and coffee. So we've got Toni Storm, who recently mentioned on Instagram that she is now taking bookings after working her way through NXT UK, NXT. She was moved to the main roster last July for SmackDown brand, and in late December, she actually requested a release from WWE following this live event that she had in Washington. So everybody was kind of shocked by that. I mean, there's a lot of people that have left WWE and people have been released from WWE. So Storm will actually be making one of her first post WWE appearances during WrestleMania, which is a huge deal. That is like one of the biggest weekends. And so she's set to be part of WrestleCon, which is going to be on Friday of WrestleMania. So WrestleMania is going to take place March 2nd. I'm sorry, April 2nd and April 3rd. But WrestleCon is going to be taking place between like March 31st all the way to the 2nd. So you could see people like Killer Cross, Scarlett Bordeaux, Mickie James, Ultimo Dragon, Demolition, Lita. I mean, so many people are expected to be there. So we're really excited. And yeah, I mean, WrestleCon's a really big deal. And there's going to be a lot of people, I'm sure many, many surprises in Dallas. So I'm really excited to see what they've got in store. And we have Ronda Rousey, who won the Women's Royal Rumble, which is a huge deal. I mean, my money wasn't on Ronda Rousey, but I mean, she's pretty badass. I could totally see how she ended up winning the Royal Rumble. And so she has been set up a SmackDown for the Women's Champ with Charlotte Flair for WrestleMania in Dallas. So we're looking forward to that in April. And post her Rumble, she had an interview and she basically was asked about her reaction for this really big moment. So this is a really big deal for her. And she says, you know, I'm just going to go back to my bus and love on my little baby. And that's like her priorities right now. So her priorities have changed now that she's a mom, she says. And I mean, I could totally see that you're going from like being in an event all day, you're like leading up to the event, you're practicing, that's all you're thinking about. And she's got like a baby at home. So yeah, and on Saturday's Royal Rumble, we had Roman Reigns. So I know Grandma D was definitely watching that one. And he defended his title against Seth Rollins. And he like lost via disqualification when he didn't break the ref's count while at the event. And I saw clips of the Royal Rumble, and I mean, this match in particular did not go the way that the people expected. I mean, the crowd was going crazy, and I mean, this was a really big deal because he was on a winning streak for, I mean, months of not losing a singles match, and then he ends up losing for the Royal Rumble, and everybody was just like, what the hell is going on? So with WWE is planning Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. So we're really excited to see that. And it's going to set up so much more now that we saw this happen at the Royal Rumble. I mean, the match can go either way at this point. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But I won't give you too much of the inside about Royal Rumble because we do have not only a recap, but we have a pre-show and a post-show on our YouTube channel. So be sure to check that out. They are awesome. And I mean, if you've got time to kill, there's so much that they go through, and they're so funny. I was watching it and laughing with them. So definitely stay tuned for that because they know all of the scoop about it. And now time for some morning jab. So, WWE posted an interview with Sarah Logan, who was one of the big surprises for the Royal Rumble this weekend. And Logan was basically talking about being back in front of her family, which is a really big deal to her. And Liv Morgan gave her a huge hug. Just so happens that they're like the best of friends. And it was a really real moment because they're best friends in real life, but happened to come into the roster together. And they kind of were conflicted because it's like, how am I going to fight my best friend? Which I couldn't do it. I mean, I don't have the capacity to fight. So regardless, I couldn't do it. But if it was my best friend, on top of it all, I definitely could not do that. And they got emotional. They were backstage crying, like giving hugs. And it was kind of like this sweet little moment. Morgan got super emotional as she talked about having to wrestle without her friends this past year. And Logan and AEW's Ruby Riott were released from WWE last year due to huge budget cuts, like we talked about earlier. They had to release a few people, and some people did end up leaving WWE. So we've got, it's hard when you've got two friends and you mix work together. Um, Especially wrestling. I mean, it's not like you're working with a coworker. I mean, you're beating the crap out of your coworker, which just so happens to be your best friend, and it's not like you could avoid her. So that is just crazy. And now on to some fluffy news. We have my band, Bad Bunny. I was so excited to see him there. I am a huge Bad Bunny fan for any of you who don't know. He is he's deep in my heart. He was at WrestleMania and he was one of the surprise entrants that we kind of knew about, that we talked about last week. We definitely knew he was going to be there. Um, and he entered in and he did a pretty good job, like keeping in his spot for the men's Royal Rumble. He entered in at bout number 27 and he did some pretty like cool moves before like being eliminated. He was, I mean, I'm definitely biased because I love him so much, but I think he did amazing. And following the appearance, people were speculating like, oh my goodness, is Bad Bunny going to be at WrestleMania? Like, what is going to happen? Because people were so excited to see him there for Royal Rumble this past weekend. Turns out he's got two sold out tours, which I have tickets to, by the way. Um, he's got a tour, he's going like everywhere, but the weekend of WrestleMania, he happens to be going to Miami, Florida. And actually, the 30th, he's going to be here in Orlando, and I'm going to that concert. So excited to see him. Hopefully, I'm so close to him that I can like feel his sweat fall on me. Just kidding, maybe. Um, but yeah, so people were like, he's definitely not going to be at WrestleMania because how is he going to do a show in Miami and then end up in Texas? It just doesn't, it's not going to work out. But I mean, if there is a surprise of some sort, if he's able to pull some strings and get there, I mean, I don't know, maybe it'll happen. And I would love that. I would be thrilled to have Bad Bunny there. Um, and then we had Becky Lynch. She's keeping a super duper close eye on Ronda Rousey. Earlier in the night, like Lynch was talking about how, Ronda Rousey is like super successful, and especially with like being able to retain, Lynch actually successfully retained the women's title over Doudrop during the Royal Rumble. And in an interview after the show, Lynch was just talking about Rousey because she did win the Royal Rumble, and she was like giving her a lot of credit because she knows she's a mom and it's, hard to have to go through that and like have a kid, go to, have this as your full-time job. And she basically was just saying like she doesn't know how she's just doing it and not just like slowly dipping her toes into the water. She just kind of like went for it. And I think we're all kind of shocked by that. We kind of expected to see a little bit of a break from her. Like she made an analogy that was kind of funny. She was like, I wouldn't go for the main course. I'd go for like an appetizer, maybe like a shrimp cocktail, or I think she was hungry. And she was like, but no, she went for the steak and potatoes. Like she went for that big meal. Because I mean, she's a badass. She has the capacity to do it. So, I mean, Why wouldn't she? And all of the signs right now are pointing to Rousey challenging Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's title at WrestleMania. So, I mean, I think a match between Rousey and Lynch seems pretty inevitable at this point. I think it's something that we're definitely going to see. And I think everybody is really excited to see that. I mean, it wouldn't be. These two like badass women are gonna go up against each other. The match can go either way. And yeah, now time for some keeping it strong style. So we had Fred Rosser, who is got some big dreams for this upcoming year. He talked in an interview this past weekend, and he says that he would like to see two really, really big names in professional wrestling visit NJPW. His New Year's resolution, listen to this. He wants to see Bryan Danielson and CM Punk come to New Japan. That would be epic. I think everybody would love that. I think that's not only his New Year's resolution. I think the whole world wants to see that. That would be so awesome. But he doesn't want to see them just in New Japan because that's New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's just not enough. He wants to see them in New Japan Strong and any of the upcoming shows. He's saying that there's a lot of eyes on them recently and more so in Japan than the US, obviously. But it's like their brand right now is like up and coming, and having those big names on there would really help them amplify. And like I think that the brand would go like crazy. I mean, we're gonna have viewers from the US are already watching New Japan, and having people on there that they love and adore, I think would be really strong, like smart for them to do. And Rosser says he's super happy being in NJPW right now. He loves the fans, he loves the bigger stage, and but he does have a father who, this is actually kind of funny. He's like, his dad was texting him, was like, son, how come you're not on AEW or Impact or these like big names? Because his dad's like a huge wrestling fan. And he's like, Dad, stop embarrassing me. I'm doing well. But his dad is like, trying to get him to push for the best, which I get because my dad was always like that. I was not only when I was little, I played like softball and soccer and I did dance and I hated sports. Like, I hated them. I used to say, I don't have a life. How are you doing this to me? My dad would always push me to do it just to like, if you don't like it, whatever. I ended up doing dance, went to dance school, loved it. So, I mean, dads are just coming from a really sweet spot. I really like, they're just coming from a loving position. So I totally get it on his dad's part. That's why he's pushing him so hard. I just thought that was funny though. And I think that that's all we have for you guys today. I'm so sad I don't have Lady J with me today, but I hope you guys still had just as much fun with me on here today. I think we covered a lot between the Royal Rumble this past weekend and, we've got like backstage interviews that I didn't even know much about. I mean, we've got friends wrestling against one another. We've got moms back in the game. We've got my boy Bad Bunny who's not coming to WrestleMania. I'm so sad about that, but it's okay. I think we'll live. And that's all I have for you guys today for Kickass and Coffee. I hope you guys had fun. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, for some more for some more Fight Kitties videos, I'm sorry, my head is in the WrestleCat world. For some more Fight Kitties videos, please click the link down below. And until next time, I'm Lexi. Bye.